Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. Welcome to You Don't Know Geo, brought to you by EdTechTeam. This is webinar 3 in a series of webinars that are custom professional. Welcome to You Don't Know Geo, brought to you by EdTechTeam. This is that our professional development team has been doing. So all of the resources for tonight's webinar, including the archive to the chat, and all of the links that we're going to be referring to can be found at edtech.team/You Don't Know Geo webinar. Dominique and I, my name is Lisa Thuman, we will be monitoring the chat. We'll put the links in there as well for you, and we will be taking questions as we go through. Dominique, let's go to the next slide because I'm going to hand the reins over to Michelle so that Michelle can introduce everyone else on the call with you. So, Michelle.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Armstrong. I'm the Director of EdTechTeam Canada, based out of Calgary, Alberta. And I've been working on some geo things that you're going to hear a little bit more about in this Hangout. Happy to have you guys all here and super excited to talk more about all of the great new things happening in the world of geo. So to start things off, we're going to introduce the panel here. We're going to go into some information about Earth and some courses and some cool stuff. But let's start it off. Let's first of all introduce John Bailey from Google. John, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hey everyone. My name's John Bailey. I am the Program Manager for Geoeducation at Google. I'm part of the Google Earth Outreach team. So we are a group at Google that's part of the same group that actually engineers Google Earth, My Maps, Tour Builder, several of the geo products that you're familiar with. Our particular team within that, we work with nonprofits, educators, students, and others to do what we call Geo for Good, basically use these products or tools, as I prefer to call them, to make a difference in the world. Kind of a quick overview of my background. I joined Google 3 years ago after leaving academia. I was in academia for 20 years. I'm a volcanologist by training. And then I just decided that I needed a change. I was living in Alaska at the time, and I was cold, so I quit. And it just so happened that Google offered me a job. So it kind of worked out.
Nice. Awesome, John. Thanks. And we're going to hear a lot more from John in just a bit. John has been working with some of us in a great group, teaching us all sorts of great things about the geo tools. So next up, I'll introduce Donnie Piercy, who's been doing a lot of work there as well. Donnie, tell us about you.
Hey guys, my name is Donnie Piercy. I am a 5th grade teacher and district technology integration specialist for Eminent Schools in Eminent, Kentucky. I'm also sort of in charge of the new Google Educator Trainer Network for North America. Also, I can juggle really well too, so we'll throw that out there too.
Nice. Awesome. We'll hear more about that trainer network, and also part of that trainer network is Micah Shippey. So let's turn it over to Micah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Micah Shippey. I'm a 7th grade American history teacher, lover of all things geo. I have a PhD in instructional design, and one thing we love in instructional design is leveraging emergent technology to promote positive change. And we've seen some awesome things in education recently, and I'm super excited to see the impact that new tools like the new Google Earth have for us.
Fantastic. Thanks, Micah. And Micah is going to be demonstrating some things you can do in your classrooms with the new Google Earth coming up soon. So don't leave us. Also, some great things that have been going on. There have been some online courses created around the new Google Earth and some geo tools. So with us, we have Tracy and Dominique from EdTechTeam Online. Let's turn it over next to Tracy to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Purdy, and I'm the Director of Online Learning for the EdTech team. You also have Dominique. She's sharing the slides right now, so she's not going to jump on and introduce herself. But Dominique works with me on the online program, and we're really excited to share our new online courses that we have for you guys at the end of this little hangout. So thanks.
Fantastic. And speaking of courses, we'll hear more from Kelly as well later. But Kelly, why don't you introduce yourself? Kelly's created a great course for us. So Kelly, just give us a quick intro.
Yes. My name is Kelly Kermode. I'm a learning integration strategist in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I work with all educators and learners K-12 on kind of disrupting what they normally do in their classroom and integrating new things and new ways of thinking. And my passion is making students become global citizens and global learners. So, yeah.
Nice, fantastic. Great to have you here, Kelly. And of course, you already heard from Lisa Thuman. So Dominique, can we jump to the next slide? So for those of you out there watching, you will see at the bottom of all of the slides in the slide deck, and on this slide, kind of in the middle, you'll see the link to get to the slide deck. So the resources we're sharing here with you tonight are yours to keep. So you will have those when we're finished here, and you'll also notice that there is a link to complete a form for a chance to win one of our free online courses. So take a moment to fill that out, but don't worry, this link that you don't know Geo webinar, that link won't go away. It is on the bottom of all of the rest of the slides that we're going to be going through here next. So the next thing, I would like to turn things over to John Bailey. John has been integral in the building and launching of new Google Earth. Super excited to have him here with us to tell us more about new Google Earth. Take it away, John.
Okay, thanks, Michelle. So as Michelle mentioned, in case you didn't realize, in case you haven't seen, we have relaunched Google Earth. We're calling it New Google Earth because we're that great at naming stuff. We need to differentiate between Google Earth as you used to know it, which we're calling classic, not old, classic Google Earth, and new Google Earth. So what is this new Google Earth all about? Well, if we can go forward a couple of slides, one slide, I have a little bit of an overview. There we go. So a few things I just want to introduce to you here, but I'm going to start with the headline. And the headline is, Google Earth now works on Chromebooks. Yeah, I think that's the big thing to even be having this conversation of Google Earth in the context of as a useful education tool. I know it's been a long time coming. Just so you guys have some sort of understanding, this wasn't a case of we needed to flick a switch and make Google Earth work on Chromebooks. We had to rebuild the entire product from the ground up. Google Earth originally came from a company called Keyhole that we bought in 2004. And they'd been working on this thing since 2001. So the code base behind Google Earth, the classic Earth, is over 15 years old, which in coding terms is like the ancient Egyptians. It's just very old. It's a miracle it even still works. And so in order to get this working on Chromebooks, we had to do things a little different. And that's what we did. We built up this brand new version that's web-based, only in Chrome right now, and there's technical reasons for that. We won't get into it, but if people are interested, I'm happy to answer that sort of offline. We also, though, work on mobile platforms. So the great thing about this is the link works everywhere. What do I mean by that? If we can go forward a slide, Google Earth now, when you turn it on in a web browser, there's a URL up the top, and that's a unique URL. So you can send that URL to someone, and they'll see the same experience on their desktop in Chrome. Or you can send it to someone's mobile device, and they'll open it up. And as long as they've got the Google Earth app installed, it does have to be an app in mobile, they're going to see exactly the same thing. It's going to have the same look and feel. Actually, we have a slide next that shows that. So the idea here is we're having a sort of, the same experience on both web and mobile. I think that's very important. I know a few people are going to ask and have already asked, well, what about iOS? That is coming. It's coming as soon as we possibly can. We're just in the process of tidying some things up, testing and making sure, once again, the experience is the same, whether you're on Android, iOS, Chrome, whatever. So that's all pretty exciting. And actually, what mobile gives us is another little feature. We live in a world of selfies. So on the mobile app, there's in fact take a selfie of the Earth button. They call it the snapshot button, but I think I'm going to call it the selfie button from now on, where in fact it takes a snapshot of your current view of Earth, puts it in a message that you send to someone. And again, whether they open that on mobile or desktop, they're going to fly to exactly that same location. So what else have we got in Earth? Well, one of the fun features is the I'm feeling lucky. We're kind of familiar with this from the world of Google. We've now brought that into the Google Earth sphere. And you can try this for yourself now. I guess I should give you the URL to go do this. earth.google.com/web will get you onto Google Earth, and you can hit that little die button and you will end up somewhere in the world. That's all I can tell you. We have 20,000 plus places, cities, parks, caves, lakes, rivers, mountains, national parks, whatever you can think of. We probably don't have your house unless you happen to live in a particularly cool and notable house. I think we have Donnie Piercy's house because that's an important place. You know, just explore. You know, I'm sure as educators, you can think of fun ways of using this in the classroom. For example, say students have to write an assignment on a geographic place. What if they all log on to Google Earth, hit the I am lucky button, and their assignment is on the place that they land? You know, that could be fun. It could be a nightmare or it could be fun. I don't know. Okay, so you can explore like that. And then this is one of the big goals of New Google Earth is we want to bring that exploration back. You know, I don't know if you remember the first time you used Google Earth and how in awe you were of like flying around the 3D landscape. And then as it evolved and we got bored of looking at our house and we got bored of looking at our neighbor's house, depending on our personality type, you know, we wanted a little more. So we started introducing the layers in Google Earth where you could find exciting content. But they weren't always the best to use. So in New Google Earth, one of the big things we're focused on is a rebuild of that content. So we've come up with this layer called Voyager. It's the ship's wheel icon you see on the side there. And it takes you into this highly curated, highly editorial feed of content. Just to kind of show you what this looks like. But for those of you that are familiar with something like Tour Builder, that's kind of the experience we have going on here. 2/3 of the screen or 3/4 of the screen are taken up by the globe. And on the right-hand side, you have a panel that has text, pictures, video, about the places that you're flying around in the globe, and it's all within the context of a story. It's meant as a storytelling tool. It's also, you know, taking advantage of some of the new technological things you can do these days in HTML5. So, you know, you can have 360 images in there, 360 video, and who's to say, maybe down the road we start integrating that with VR. I don't know. Possibilities are endless. So that's Voyager. Now, in the classroom, I know a big thing for teachers is creation. You want students making their own content. And this is where we kind of run into the wall right now with New Earth. There isn't a whole lot of capability for creating content. So to back up slightly, Google Earth supports something called KML. If you don't know what KML is, it stands for Keyhole Markup Language. You may have, remember I said Keyhole was the company we bought that the Google Earth technology came from. Well, we really got two things from Keyhole. We got this Earth Viewer technology, and we got a markup language they created called Keyhole Markup Language, KML. A markup language is just a type of computer code that can be used to make content. Most of you have probably heard of HTML. HTML makes web pages. KML makes stuff in Google Earth. They're very similar computer languages. In fact, if you've ever seen HTML, you could look at KML and it would make perfect sense. So if you go into Google Earth and in Classic Earth and you click on the buttons to make a place mark, you get that yellow push pin shows up. You are making KML, you're writing code. I know you don't see the code, but that is what you are doing behind the scenes. So that's the element that we haven't quite got in Google Earth yet. What we do have is an ability to view KML. to a certain degree. You can see the slide right now is showing an example of this. This is actually some points and a route around the peninsula of Antarctica. This was a voyage I took. I was fortunate enough to be invited down by Nat Geo on one of their cruises. And so you can open up these KML files that exist. If we go to the next slide, there are some caveats about this. For example, overlays won't work. Network links, if you know what those are, won't work. It's just, it will be a bit of a rough experience right now. One of the good things, though, is that we have integrated to Drive. So not only can you upload KML from your desktop, you can go to your Drive. And we're going to make this bigger and better as we go along. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, that's all very well. You're giving me upload from Drive, but I don't have anything to upload because I don't even know how to make a point because you don't give me any tools. And fair enough. You know what? We have to start somewhere. As I said, we had to rebuild this tool. We are working on it. But more importantly, we're working on doing it the right way. So, Google Earth in the past, it became a big thing. And I think one of the great things about Google Earth is there's always been a tradition of listening to our users. So the slide you're seeing right here actually refers to something that exists on the ancient interwebs, which is, I gave a tech talk at Google back 10 years ago. You can see me there. That's when I was younger and almost attractive. But I gave that talk at Google, invited down, gave it on the main campus, and it was right after a big conference, geoscientist conference in San Francisco that Google attended. And after my tech talk, they invited me to a sort of closed-door meeting at Google where they were talking about the future development of Google Earth. And all the engineers and people who had gone to this meeting, they wrote all of the stuff that they'd learned from users on the board. And they started compiling it into a list of possible features. And they broke it down, and then they came up with this list of 10, and they knocked out like 5 of them because they were just impractical. And they had this like top list of 5 features. Over the next sort of 18 months to 2 years, I watched as every one of those features was released into Google Earth. And that fundamentally came from our user groups telling Google what they needed. Now, obviously, I'm actually part of Google, part of the Earth team. And so I can now offer this to you guys. We have stated that we want Google Earth to be a big tool for education, hence the integration with Chromebooks, hence some of the other things that we'll be announcing in the next few months. If anyone's coming to ISTE, look out for us. And so we really want to hear from you. What can make this a tool in the classroom? You tell us. You genuinely have an opportunity here to help design the future of Google Earth and KML. So that's all I have for now. The slides got messed up. I thought I had another KML slide. Sorry, that was just a quick overview of what does and doesn't work in KML. If you don't know what KML is, this won't make any sense. If you do know what KML is, you're just going to be frustrated and annoyed at me. So I think we'll move on.
Oh, fantastic, John. And from someone who's had a chance to really dig into Earth, as much as you say that there are things missing, I can tell you there's so much there that is so great that it's just exciting to know what's coming for sure. So next up, we're going to hear from Donnie. So John has been able to bring a bunch of us together to learn more about Google Earth and the other geo tools into a great network that Donnie is going to describe.
So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, John. So one of the big things that the Google Earth Outreach team has been trying to do, because they realize that we've got a lot of teachers and educators kind of around the world who are using these geo tools, but there wasn't really much in terms of figuring out practical ways that these tools could be brought into the classroom, whether that's their incorporation into lesson plans or just some practical use cases, 360 photography, going cross-curricular with like street view images and things like that. So earlier this year, and I think now we can say is kind of officially launched, the Google Earth Outreach team has created what they call the Google Geo Education Trainer Network. And the next 3 slides, Dominique, if you want to just click through them, not super quickly, but just kind of, pace through them. And so over the next couple of months, if you guys go to this URL up here, google.com/earth/education, the Google Earth team has actually launched very recently this new site where users can go. It's especially designed for educators who are looking to figure out some unique ways, especially if they're brand new to the Google Geo suite of tools, or maybe they've just started playing around with the new Google Earth. This site is designed to kind of give them kind of that step in the door, where maybe they have a teacher that they work with who has just kind of started with the tool, and they're like, oh man, I wish I could figure out some ways to incorporate that into my classroom. So the google.com/earth/education site is kind of that way to get it started. And so what the Google Earth Outreach team has done as well, Dominique, if you kind of want to quickly, not quickly, but just kind of click through these next slides. What the Google Earth Outreach team has done is they've created this group of educators known as the Geo Education Trainer Network. We've actually got several of them kind of here on this call with us. And what we are a group of educators who are really passionate about kind of incorporating the Geo suite of tools into our classroom, into instructions. And not only are we passionate about sharing the power of these tools with our students, but we also really want to really share with other educators, not only in our states, but kind of around the world, as to how they can kind of bring these tools into the classroom. So everything from Google Expeditions to the new Google Earth to My Maps to Street View imagery to, heck, even doing things like uploading or teaching students how they can upload their own photography to Google Maps to kind of help share the story of their communities and things like that. So, we're just getting started with it, but if you ever see, go to the next slide there, Dominique. If you ever see the hashtag GETN, that's not get in my belly, as I think some of us have started to crack up about, but it's just the Geo Education Trainer Network. Usually if you see that hashtag, it means that maybe a PD session is being put on maybe at one of EdTechTeam summits where, we are introducing some of these geo tools to some new attendees. Or, maybe we are kind of teaching our students, and our students are really excited about this kind of stuff as well, and are really interested in, figuring out how they can use these tools to kind of help better themselves as learners. Cool.
Fantastic. No, that's excellent. And yes, one of the members of the Geo Educator Trainer Network we have here is Micah Shippey, and Micah is going to give us a demo of some of the things you can do inside Google Earth, I believe. So Micah, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so Dominique, if you want to go to the next slide there, I'm at the, thank you, yep. So what I have for you is just a way to start thinking about using some of the geo tools, and a couple of different ways to do it. I use big data because that's our big buzzword now, right? So we can use big data, globally big, to draw some inferences and conclusion about human activity. And we can do that through, one way is through My Maps. My Maps has a feature in it that allows you to explore existing maps that are out there. So as you can see on my slide, I've got a Bigfoot UFO sightings map that I can copy, to open the map and make a copy. And then I also can download maps. So what I've done, if you want to click on my map to the right titled Who is Spotting Bigfoot and UFOs, I would have students draw is, what can we tell about Bigfoot and UFO sightings? And I chose 2 different KML files. Again, KML files are those map files that we can actually upload into a map. And here I have national parks and best places to retire. So is it people who are out sightseeing at national parks, or is it perhaps people who are in retirement communities who are spotting Bigfoots and UFOs? So while it's a silly example, I think it's kind of cool to see how we can take maps that are out there, copy them and modify them, upload other maps, and maybe draw some incredibly abstract inferences as to what might be going on with these maps. KML files do help us patch one little gap, and that little gap is that presently with Google, the new Google Earth, we're unable to author content. But if you're familiar with My Maps at all, in My Maps you can create your own content, and you can actually export it as a KML. And in doing so, you create a file that can be uploaded to the new Google Earth. The new Google Earth has a setting. There's 3 lines up in the left-hand corner, and you can enable KML imports. Enabling KML imports will allow you to bring in these files that you create on things like My Maps. So there is some ways to do some authorship with the new Google Earth. It just means using another one of the geo tools for now.
Fantastic. Yeah, and Micah sort of alluded to there are other ways as well. There are a number of people on the Inarget network that are really trying hard to help us be able to add content to Google Earth. Josh Williams is one of them. You want to follow him. You'll hear more about some of the tools he's developing, but it really is exciting what's being built out there by this group. Next up, so for those of you, oh, actually, Micah, that link, I did try it. I'm not sure if maybe there's something wrong with me or the link, but if you want to double check the UFO link just to make sure it's shared, just in case.
Will do.
But next up, we're going to turn it back over to John Bailey. Those of you that are starting to become a little bit more interested in the number of geo tools that are available out there, there just so happens to be a place that you'll be able to go this summer in California to learn more. John, can you tell us about the Geo Teachers Institute?
Yeah, sure. So GeoTeacher Institutes are actually a series of workshops we've been running since 2010. This summer will, I believe, be our 15th or 16th. We've run them all around the world on 3 different continents. For the last few years, because popularity has increased, we try and do at least one in California. So they're a 2-day workshop, although I'll come back to that because this year we're expanding, that is free to attend, although unfortunately you have to find your own travel costs to be here. And we basically welcome educators from across North America and the world to our Mountain View campus, and we have a 2-day immersive deep dive into these various tools that we're talking about. Now, obviously this year there's going to be a big focus on Earth. Couple of things I will say about this is there will be Googlers around, but the way we run these workshops is a little bit different for a Google event, in that it's not Googlers doing the instruction. We bring in people like some of the folks that are presenting on this Hangout and have them teach the classes, because we really want the opportunity for educators to connect to sort of people who are active in the classroom, active in the educational community. We tend to find that makes the subject matter a little more applicable for them. But that's not to say Googlers aren't involved. We are, and it's also not to say that it isn't all the usual sort of Google fun. Google, you may have seen us sort of matured over the last few years. I guarantee in my workshops we do not mature. We just we're having fun is a large part of this. As I mentioned, it's free to attend. The good news is that we are becoming very popular, which maybe is bad news because it means there's lots of applicants. So it is competitive. Unfortunately, we won't be able to offer everyone who applies a place. But if you don't apply, then we can't say yes. So we're hoping we'll see you this summer. Oh, I could just mention, I said that it's 2 days. And so there is 2 full days of instructions and games and different learning experiences. But this year we're adding a voluntary 3rd day, as in you don't have to stay for it. It doesn't affect your application whether you get accepted or not. But on the 3rd day, it's going to be more of a just open time to interact with other users, work on projects, talk to Googlers. We'll have a few activities, but it's literally hangout at Google for the day. Good time to go to the Google store then, maybe. So hopefully we'll see you in Mountain View this summer.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, John. Now, we're going to now turn it over to Lisa. Let us know, Lisa, are there any questions in the Q&A that we can stop to answer?
Sure thing. Well, first of all, one of the things that came up and it has been answered, but I thought I'd save it for the archive, is everything done, is lit trips, are they going to port over to the new version? And the answer is yes, but there was a buzz about that. The other question is quite a few folks want to join the Geo Educators Network. Can they?
All right, I guess I'll take both of those. So right now, G10 or Get In, whatever your preferred method of pronunciation is an invite-only thing. There's no sort of existing online entity around this, although we will soon hopefully have some expanded online resources. But unfortunately, this is very much a kind of select group of people, and we're working on expanding it across the globe. In fact, right now, we're not expanding our Americas group. We're focusing on Asia Pacific and then Europe. Down the road, we're not sure what this will become. Hopefully it will be a successful way of being able to bring this information to educators and allowing everyone to use it in their learning and classroom experiences. But unfortunately, right now, there isn't something people can apply to. On the lit trips front, I have maybe more fun news. So Jerome Berg's a friend of mine. He's someone I've worked with for many years. He is always involved in the GTIs. He will be there at this summer's GTI. And him and I have been chatting about this. He's seen a lot of interest in people using his lit trips now that Google Earth works on Chromebooks. So we are working rapidly to fix these issues. Jerome's working on it. We're also getting him some external developer help to try and accelerate the process here. So stay tuned for some fun announcements from lit trips over the next few months.
Thanks, John. And actually, Jerome Berg's in the chat. If you're in the chat with us, he's at Google Lit Trips. The other question that I wanted to ask from the group is KML, well, are KML and KMZ still in experimental mode?
In the new Google Earth?
Yes.
Yeah, right now you still have to enable it because technically I guess you could call it a new Google Earth experiment. And I think part of that's because a lot of the older KMLs, some work better than others. So, until they get all the kind of the big bugs and stuff worked out of it, it's still going to be an experiment. You just have to, sometimes it's trial and error. Like if you have maybe a KML that you've used with your class, maybe for the past 5 or 6 years in classic Google Earth, go ahead, enable the KML import into new Google Earth, and just kind of try it out to see how it works.
Great, thanks, Donnie. So if you haven't already, because only about 50 people have filled it out, don't forget to complete the form we have linked there, and I'll put it again in the chat, to win a free online course with EdTechTeam, which you're going to hear about when we're done. Michelle, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you very much. And if there are any other questions, we hopefully will have a chance at the end to answer any more questions you may have. So keep those coming. Next up, really, we want to turn it over to our online learning team. So I'm going to turn this over to Tracy to tell us a little bit about some of the offerings we have online.
Thanks, Michelle. So if you guys are watching and listening and you want to dig in a little bit deeper and actually have to go in and do all of these things that we've been talking about and create lesson plans with the new Google Earth or with My Maps, then we've got the courses for you. So before I tell you about those, I just want to let you know that these are what we call just-in-time courses. A just-in-time course is anytime, any pace, any place learning. It's 15 hours. You work at your own pace on your own time. You can sign up tomorrow. You can sign up tonight. You can sign up in 2 weeks. And then from whenever you start, you have 6 months to complete the course. So it's 15 hours. You can either use it for continuing education hours, or you can also apply for 1 graduate credit from Adams State University. So our 2 courses that we have, the first one is called A Brand New Earth, and our 2 course authors are here, Michelle Armstrong and Donnie Piercy. I think that Donnie's going to jump on and tell us a little bit. I want Donnie to share what is this course all about, what will people expect to learn, and who is this course for, or why would a teacher or anybody want to take this course?
Yeah, so Michelle and I kind of been working on this course over the past couple of months, kind of making sure, well, last month rather, making sure that kind of everything that a teacher who was interested in kind of incorporating the new Google Earth into their instruction kind of throughout the day could use. So Michelle has created some amazing videos that just kind of start off with the basics. Maybe you are brand new to Google Earth and you're not even sure how to navigate or to make your way around. We start off the course by just kind of going over some basics. Where are the buttons? How do you share files? How do you use the Voyager tool? And then as the course goes on, we start to have the people who participate in the course kind of develop some things that they can take back to their classrooms, their schools, or their districts right away. I mean, the one thing that we wanted to make sure that we did, or that participants who kind of worked through the course did, was as they were completing units or as they were completing different modules and stuff for the 15-hour course, that, when it was all said and done, that they first had the knowledge of just some ways that they can incorporate the new Google Earth into their classroom, but also that they had some resources and things handy that they could, if they're a classroom teacher, they could start using with their students right away. Or if they were, say, like a curriculum coach or even like a tech coach, or et cetera, they had some things that they could, resources and ideas that they could share with teachers and stuff who kind of work under them.
Perfect. Great. Thanks, Donna. Yeah, it was super fun to work on the course, and I myself learned a number of things about new Google Earth through it. It was great.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And if you want more information about these or have questions, we'll have more information on the website, edtechteam.online. So you can go sign up. But we also have another course. So this one is called Creating Global Learners with Geo Tools. And Kelly Kermode is with us, and she's the author of this course. Kelly, will you tell us a little bit about this course? What will people learn in this course, and who should take it? And anything else, how is it different than the Brand New Earth course?
Right, so the Google Earth course is going to focus on how you can bring in Earth into your classroom. However, Google does host a number of other geo tools that are available, and I would say if you've ever dabbled in Google Maps or in Google My Maps, and even if those are kind of sound like foreign language to you, this is the course for you. So what you're going to want to do is sign up for the course, and what you can expect to gain from taking the course is some fundamental knowledge of how you can use Google Maps as a teaching tool, what you can discover with just Google Maps by itself, and then how you can create content, including KML files, using Google Maps, and explore the world through those tools.
Awesome. So both of these courses could go together. You could learn how to create that My Map in this first course, Creating Global Learners with Geo Tools, and then you could import it into Google Earth and go on to the next course and really explore how creating that map, how you can see it in the new Google Earth. So thank you for sharing that. If you guys want more information, go to the website. If you have any questions, you can post them in the chat and we can reach out to you. We're really, really excited about these courses. They not only have you walk through the tools, but they talk about why they're important for students in the classroom to be using these tools and what the benefit is. So thanks to both of you guys for writing those courses.
And thank you, Tracy. Next up, Dominique, I'm not sure if we have the slides in the right order. You can connect with us to get more information about EdTechTeam and EdTechTeam Online. There is a slide in the slide deck that gives you our contact information. And then, of course, there's also a slide in there that links you to the archive of this webinar. So if you missed any part of it or want to share, you'll see the link is there. We've got the archive chat. You can request a Geo workshop face-to-face if you like, and then of course anyone who qualifies for the PD certificates, there's a link there to get to your PD certificate. And I think that brings us to, we'll take a moment, Lisa, and see if there are any more questions, and once the questions are finished, we will go ahead and draw for the free online course. So I'll turn it back to you, Lisa.
Sure. So there's a bunch of people, by the way, that are applying for the Geo event this summer. Some of the questions that came in when folks registered about the new Google Earth, how about what do you consider to be the most impactful feature of the new Google Earth, and how does that feature improve learning for students?
I'm going to jump in, and then Donnie, I don't know if you want to jump in. The voyages are truly spectacular. To be able to immerse yourself in this 3D imagery and the content that comes along with it, and the videos, forewarning, you're going to get lost in the voyages for hours and hours. It's just a beautiful wealth of content for sure.
Yeah, I've always kind of looked at like a tool like Google Maps. Like a tool like Google Maps, for example, is great for finding directions. Like how do you get from point A to point B? And while it has some of the visual capability that Google Earth does, if Google Maps is meant for finding your way, like Michelle mentioned, Google Earth is meant to get lost and explore. And you know, if anything else, it really creates that sense of wonder, that sense of questioning that you really want your students to get. For, you know, like, why is this here? What is this location? What is this, you know, when you zoom in on this sign, why is this written in this language, et cetera. So it's kind of a great, like, all-in-one package that really does a good job of encouraging students to not only be aware of, you know, the community that they're in, but shows them and exposes them to the greater world too.
Yeah, I have to agree, Donnie. When I first showed it to my students, the 3D modeling, which we saw on my maps for whatever reason on Google Earth, it's just a mind blower. I mean, I showed them the Eiffel Tower and they watched the automatic rendering rotation and they were like, whoa. And then I was like, okay, let's check out our middle school. So we pull up the middle school and the water tower down the road, which is not a historic landmark, is in 3D modeling. And it's the coolest thing ever. It really promotes, you know, a sense of community as well as some global things that otherwise students may not have access to.
I searched my Google Photos today for Google Earth, and it actually ended up being like real photos of Earth. Like the imagery was that accurate that it was picking up on. So it was really cool.
Micah, when you say that you had your middle schoolers navigating around, I had my 7-year-old daughter the other day. I was kind of showing her Google Earth, and she finally just said, "Okay, out of my way, let me have at it." So I found the navigation is just so appealing to all ages that they just take over and they're like, "This is my world. I want to see it now." So it's definitely age appropriate for all ages.
And speaking of age appropriate, another question that we have is about expeditions, which we didn't talk about tonight, but I think it's a great question, and I'm hoping John has the answer everybody would like. When do students get to make their own expeditions?
I can't talk about that. So, sorry.
Does that mean it's going to happen? Like, should we be hopeful?
I mean, again, much like the Earth story, realize that the creation is what people are after here. You know, obviously the expeditions team haven't announced anything for a while, and they've been working hard on some new things, but you just have to wait till they are ready to announce whatever they're going to announce. So stay tuned.
Great, thanks, John. So I just wanted to bring us back to the Learn More, Stay Connected slide. You can always follow us at EdTechTeam and join our community on Google+, and visit us at edtechteam.com. Dominique, could you go to the next slide, please? Now, everything that we went over tonight, we've got the link to this archived webinar. We've got the link to the archived chat right there for you in the slide deck. So we'll be copying and pasting the chat and all your great questions and suggestions and getting to know each other information in there. You can click that request to not only request a geo workshop at your school or in your district just for the folks that you work with directly, but any type of workshop that we can bring directly to you. And of course, as Michelle mentioned, to get your PD certificate. Dominique, I think it's time to go to the next slide to see if we can get a winner for this online course. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy and paste everybody that submitted the form. So we have 63 people that put their names in. I'm going to put it in a random name picker. We like to use classtools.net to do this. And I'm going to paste them in. And our winner is... Linda Epps from New Jersey, which is super fun. So Linda will win a free online course through EdTechTeam, and Tracy will email Linda right when we're done with this webinar and go about arranging for that course. Michelle, I'm just going to hand it back to you to see if you just wanted to close things out.
No, I will give everyone else an opportunity. If you have any last minute words of wisdom, speak now, but otherwise we'll call it a wrap. Going once.
I noticed there was one person that, maybe more, that had asked about middle school uses for some of the geo tools. And I kind of just started searching through all of the different standards, whether it was science, English, social studies, and out there in the world of Common Core standards and that sort of thing, it really is emphasizing taking data and visualizing it and then drawing conclusions from that. And I think when you start mapping data and getting that to being a global focus, your kids start to, and having them reflect and just is a huge step forward. And it content you were so I thought that we'd mention that since it was presented such a specific question to the group.
Yeah, fantastic, Kelly. And another thing that you also just touched on, that mapping is not just for social studies anymore. There's so many ways to implement it into all of the courses, and that's just really fun to start exploring those options for sure. Excellent. Anyone else? All right. Well, thank you all here for being on the panel. Thank you all for being here tonight and listening to us. And we hope to connect with you more online and can't wait to explore more out there in the world of geo. So thanks so much for being here.
Thanks. Have a good night.